Hey everyone, Tankenstein here. In this video, I'll be reviewing the AMX-30 Super, the currently 9.0 BR Tier 6 Premium Medium/Main Battle Tank for the French Ground Forces Tech Tree. The pack that it comes with also includes 2,000 Golden Eagles and 15 days of premium time for a cost of $60 USD when not on sale. In this review, I'll go over the Super's stats, how it plays, its strengths and weaknesses, and then give a final recommendation on if I think that you should purchase this vehicle or not. Please subscribe if you have not done so already, as I do guides, reviews, tutorials, and even some giveaways. So if you'd like some more informational videos, or if you'd like to win something, I'd suggest hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell. Either way, let's get into the video. So as always, I'll place the AMX-30 Super stats here on the left side of the screen, and its important stats to focus on are speed, armor pen, and turret traverse. Now, the AMX-30 Super plays like any generic MBT, except geared towards speed at the cost of armor. It has a better than average cannon with a high speed capability and good stabilizer, all of which allows this MBT to work well in numerous roles, including support and flanking, although it cannot truly scout as it lacks the scouting capability. The AMX-30 Super is among the quickest of all MBTs, regardless of if it's a premium vehicle or not. In fact, though it shares the same 65 km/h top speed that the other AMX-30s share, it has by far and away the most horsepower, sitting at 850 horsepower, which is 100 more than the second closest AMX-30 in the B2 Prentice. This makes an already maneuverable vehicle into something that can challenge most light tanks, including the CV90105 TML, which is also a high BR premium pack vehicle, which I actually have a link for a review down below. Because of this, and due to its relatively light armor that can only occasionally ricochet shells and only truly deter most autocannons, the AMX-30 Super is ideal for flanking and making speed moves on enemies. For example, if you see an enemy sitting in one spot, a good maneuver is to use your smoke grenades to make it look like you're moving one way, only to slip out and destroy the enemy where they might not expect. Ultimately, while it is a bit of a generic vehicle, it performs very well in the offensive role, where it can pen nearly every enemy that it will face with ease, even more so than the XM1 or the aforementioned CV90105 TML. In this regard, outside of its inability to scout, I'd say the closest vehicle to the AMX-30 Super is the TML, as they have similar speed, maneuverability, and cannons, with the AMX-30 having slightly better armor and a marginally better cannon, while the TML has slightly better speed and maneuverability, plus scouting. In addition to this, the reverse speed on the Super is also great, which will allow you to make snap movements in the heat of battle, lending to its ability to be a master of surprise attacks. And now for its strengths and weaknesses. To start off with its strengths, among all 9.0 BR premium pack tanks, the Super may have the best cannon and ammo combination, being absolutely deadly at any range and capable of penning over 360mm of armor with its OFL 105F1 APF SDS round, which is slightly superior at all ranges to the XM1's APF SDS. Secondly, it has great cannon optics with up to 12 times zoom. Third, with the exception of the XM1, this may be the quickest MPT from a premium pack. Maneuverability is also excellent. Fourth, in addition to the aforementioned strengths, the Super has an over 30 km/h top speed in reverse, which is among the best of all vehicles in game. Fifth, it has an excellent turret traverse. And sixth, it has a laser rangefinder and a stabilizer. Beyond this, it has two MGs, including an HMG mounted in the turret, making it so that air kills and assists are quite common. For its eighth strength, it has thermals for the gunner, and finally, it has RP and Silver Lion bonuses. Now for its weaknesses, while it does have some level of armor, it doesn't have much, especially for a 9.0 BR tank. Similar to the Leopard A1 A1L44, and unlike the Terms and XM1, the Super doesn't feature any sort of advanced modern armor, instead relying on metal to protect you. For its second weakness, it has a huge antenna in the rear of the tank, which will make it impossible to conceal yourself in some situations, such as hiding behind a hill. Third, it does not have many ammo options, although its heat and APF SDS should be all that you need, as they are plenty competent at destroying enemy tanks. And finally, it lacks a commander's sight. And now let's get into my final recommendation and ratings. And the AMX-30 is, truthfully, a fairly generic looking tank, as on the outside, it almost looks no different than the standard AMX-30 that sits below it in BR in the French Premium Ground Forces Tech Tree. How it performs, however, is far from generic, as it can and will take the fight to the enemy, albeit with very little armor. In many regards, this vehicle, more than almost all other high BR premium pack vehicles, is just for the offensive strike-minded customer, as it has almost no way of actually actually being able to defend its crew outside of standard steel armor. This will thankfully typically be sufficient to deal with most autocannons and HMGs, but will almost always be penned by larger caliber cannons at most ranges, barring very favorable angling on the part of the Super. The Super makes up for this, however, with its surprisingly high speed, great acceleration, and general ability to move around the battlefield, which it does as well as any of the fastest high BR premiums currently in game. While it isn't flashy, it represents what is best about the French Ground Forces tech tree from about 7.0 BR through around 9.0 BR, and that is that it is full of fast, hard-hitting vehicles that may or may not have armor. It is chock full of light tanks, and outside of it weighing a little bit too much, the Super feels like one of the famous French light tanks. Now, for my ratings, I give its cannon a solid 7.5 out of 10. While it has slightly higher armor pen than, for example, the XM1 or CV90105 TML, it only bests those vehicles by around 10 millimeters, while having little else to actually use outside of its APF SDS shells. These are entirely sufficient, however, and are fired from an accurate cannon that is great on the move. For survivability, I have to give the Super a 4.5 out of 10, because while it can survive many types of lower caliber shells and even cause the occasional ricochet, it is nothing special at this BR and is in fact a downgrade from the armor on the lower BR B2 Brennus. It does just enough to keep you alive in some situations, making it so that you don't die to everything in-game. But like many tanks around this BR, gun technology is far stronger than armor technology, and the AMX-30 Super embodies that. It almost exemplifies the phrase that no armor is the best armor. If nothing else, it at least has a somewhat spaced out turret crew, which enhances survivability slightly. For maneuverability, I'll give the Super an 8.5 out of 10, as it is surprisingly fast and agile, making it so that you can use it more like a heavily armored light tank. It is almost shocking how quickly the Super moves. While it isn't as fast as the XM1, it sits 0.3 BR lower, at least currently, and is just a little bit slower than it, which makes it just about as good in my book. Overall, I give the Super a 7 out of 10 because of its tremendous offensive capability, although it is hampered by its mediocre survivability. For overall pack value, I give it a 7 out of 10 as well, as the tank itself is very good, especially for those that enjoy the offensive playstyle. While it isn't, in my opinion, as good of a deal as the XM1, T55 AM1, or even the Terms pack, it holds its own against the TML, Ruicat, and is arguably competitive with the Leopard A1A1 L44 in terms of value. Ultimately, the AMX-30 Super feels like a tank design taken to the extreme, with it almost totally neglecting armor, having even less armor than the AMX-30 base model in the premium tech tree, while having more horsepower than any of the other AMX-30s in game. This, along with its great cannon and APF SDS ammo, makes it so that you can move and kill enemies at will, so long as you keep moving. While it isn't necessarily beginner friendly, it isn't so difficult to play that it will be an incredible challenge. So, do I think that this vehicle is worth purchasing? Yes, especially if you want to grind out the French Ground Forces tech tree. While this vehicle will hit a wall sooner than most, probably around 9.7 BR or 10.0 BR, largely due to its lack of armor and just okay armor pen, it will still allow you to grind plenty well until that point, and even beyond it, at least if you're good at flanking. I still believe the Terms, T55 AM1, and XM1 to be better deals and should be purchased first, but that does not mean that the Super is a bad vehicle. Far from it, in fact, even if it looks a little bit generic. That said, thank you all so much for watching, everyone. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you've not done so already. But either way, thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all on the other side. Take care, everyone.